Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you reside. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon for the B2B Gateway's presentation of EDI for Internet Retailers. Just a few housekeeping before we get started. We will have you all on mute during the presentation, and we will be saving questions till the end. Should you have any questions, please go ahead and enter them as I go along on the right-hand corner in the chat box, and I will address them at the very end of the discussion. If perchance I'm unable to get to your question due to a limitation in time, please email sales@b2bgateway.net, and myself or a member of our staff would be happy to answer them. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, what we're going to be covering essentially is EDI for Internet retailers. I want to just give you a little bit of background information about B2B Gateway and why we are experts in the EDI field and have the right to be talking on this subject today. We're going to talk a little bit about e-commerce and how it has evolved over the years, and where does EDI fit into the e-commerce space, the different types of e-retailers there are out there, because not all online retail is the same. We're going to talk a little bit about how we can help streamline your processes and improve your ROI on your ERP and your internet relationships. So let's go ahead and get started. B2B Gateway was founded back in 1999 and began offering EDI services very quickly after we were founded. We have thousands and thousands upon trading partner relationships, both e-commerce relationships as well as brick and mortar. We regularly partner with various ERP and accounting packages to be able to meet the unique requirements of those solutions, as well as the unique requirements of all of their business partners, be it the different file formats, communication methods, as well as those requirements of the online retailers and third-party logistics company. So just some quick fun facts about online retailing. Now, probably everyone on this call has purchased at least one item in the past year, and most likely multiple items. In 2016, almost 2 billion people purchased items online. That number is set to increase about 25% year on year. There was approximately $1.9 trillion in online sales. That's equal to the GDP of some small nations. Online revenue is close to $4 trillion in 2020. These are pretty exciting factors, and everyone wants to be part of this growing space. 96% of Americans have made a purchase sometime in their lifetime online. Even my 80-year-old mother is making purchases online. You can see that there's a trend in going from brick and mortars to online retailing. I know personally, I can't remember the last time I purchased an item of clothing in a brick and mortar store. I do all of my shopping online. One fun fact that I just found out while preparing for this webinar was 43% of online shoppers have made a purchase in bed. I hate to venture what they're thinking of buying, but perhaps new bed linens. So moving on, now that we know that this is a multi-trillion-dollar industry and we all are participating in it, and it's just going to continue to grow, where does the EDI fit into this space? Now, EDI essentially is the exchange of standard business documents. Here in the U.S., we use the ANSI X12 standard, so that we're going to use that as a reference point when talking about EDI documents. So essentially, a standard document would be receiving that purchase order from that online retail space, be it a shopping cart that you own yourself, any of the marketplaces that are like an Amazon, as well as from other stores. Essentially what we do is we're going to get that purchase order from your retail space, reformat it, and push it directly into your ERP system as a sales order so you can automatically fulfill it. There are a variety of return documents that might need to be supported in this space. The most common one for the retailer is going to be inventory, because you're going to be selling on various marketplaces. It's very important that your inventory be up to date so that you don't disappoint that end user, because the user experience is really the key to online retail now. And that's part of why you want to now communicate with those e-retailers using EDI, so that not only do you get that purchase order into your system, but you can get it picked, packed, and shipped much quicker. So when you receive that purchase order from that online retailer, you might also be pushing it off to a third-party logistics company, or you might have a drop shipper. You also might want to automatically send that original purchase order off to your contract manufacturer in China. All of this is done to help give the end consumer a better experience. They're going to order that product. They want it on their doorstep tomorrow, if not today. And you want to make sure that you have the inventory in hand, that you can get it to them as quickly as possible, so that they're happy with your service, and they will continue to order product from you until they'll tell their friends through social media about what a wonderful product you offered and their experience purchasing that product. One of the things that we see the fastest growing vertical is, for the EDI user, is going to be outsourcing to a third-party logistics company. Now, this is being done because you've manufactured a fabulous product, or you're buying a product and you found a great way to get it to market. You positioned it beautifully on the various e-retailer spaces. But to pick, pack, and ship that item in a timely manner can be very time-consuming, and it is a very specific expertise. So people are outsourcing that, and you want to be able to communicate those orders to your third-party logistics company in an automated, trackable system. And so what we do is we'll take that purchase order, we push it over to you, so now you know you sold that product to that consumer, but at the same time you're telling your third-party logistics company, please pick, pack, and ship this and get it to this consumer as quickly as possible. Then they're going to tell you, they're going to respond saying, we pick, pack, and shipped. Here's the information. That information can go back up to your e-retail space, as well as your shopping cart, and it goes back to you to say, so that you know, hey, that product that was ordered by that consumer has now been picked, packed, and shipped, and hopefully they will reorder from you. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, there are a variety of e-commerce platforms that you are going to be selling on. You're not going to be limited to just selling on your own e-commerce platform. You might be selling on the various marketplaces or on an online retailer. So most commonly, the shopping carts that we hear about the most, or Magento is probably the biggest one out there. There's Shopify, 3D Cart, BigCommerce, Shoe. There are e-commerce platforms e-commerce shopping carts coming out every day. And depending on your business model, will determine which one of these really is the best suited to meet your requirements. And you want to have a company that can work with all of those different shopping carts in order to get them into your system. And that's really where B2BGateway would fit in. We work with all the different APIs out there, different shopping carts, and we're regularly partnering with more and are open to working with any shopping cart that comes on the market. The other space that you're going to be hearing more and more about is the online marketplaces. Now, we're all familiar with Amazon, and I'll touch a little bit more on how we work with Amazon in a moment, just as an example. There's Rakuten, there's Jet, there's Alibaba. I mean, there are online marketplaces coming on a rapid pace, and you want to make sure that you can position your product on each one of those marketplaces. There's also just online retailers. I just picked a couple of the ones that I went shop at night, and Taylor, Tiffany's. If you guys will buy product from us, Jay McLaughlin. So a lot of us are doing, as I mentioned, I do almost all of my shopping online on a dedicated retailer. There's also, we're going to talk a little bit about Commerce Hub. That's probably one of the companies that has provided a service to a lot of the brick and mortars to help them get their e-commerce site started. So if you're going to be selling to Walmart.com, Commerce Hub helps facilitate that relationship. And they have about 46 different retailers that they work with. And we'll touch a little bit about working with Commerce Hub. So how do we help? Where does EDI, and I should preface this by saying, not just B2BGateway. We happen to have been doing this for almost 20 years. We are very poised very strategically in the marketplace to help you work with all of your different e-commerce platforms. But in general, how does EDI help? Where does EDI fit into the marketplace? I touched a little bit about on the automation, getting those orders automatically into your back-end system so that you know that you might need to order more products. You know that you need to what your dollar values are, what's selling where. So B2B Gateway, and again, I should say all EDI providers, what we work on is automating that process. So you just work on positioning your product, getting the best product. We facilitate getting those orders into your system, whatever that system might be. Again, I touched a little bit on the importance of inventory. It is key that your inventory be up to date on all of the different e-commerce platforms that you're selling on, because it's a very disappointing experience for that consumer to think that they found the item that they want to order, they place that order, and then it's out of stock. So automatically sending inventory information back up to each of those e-commerce platforms is extremely important. Again, I touched a little bit on sending those orders to your 3PL, that third-party logistics company, or your drop shipper, if that's your relationship. Those are going to be very important that those processes get automated. They happen live time. So you take that order, it comes in automatically from Amazon, it's off to your 3PL, they're pick, packing, and shipping, and it's on the consumer's doorstep the next day. Again, there's also, obviously, you're going to need to communicate back tracking information. So there's a lot of documents that is going to help facilitate the relationship with those e-commerce platforms and in the end, that end consumer that we help automate, and again, EDI helps to automate. So how do we fit in, or how does EDI fit into this space? Well, each of you has a different back-end system that you are potentially using that meets your business requirements. You might be a small user, you're just starting out, you have a couple of products, and you're using Xero or QuickBooks Online. As your business grows, you start to move over to Acumatica or to a Sage product, and then you move to NetSuite. Each one of these different ERP or OMS systems has a different file format, and it's important that those documents get appropriately allocated into your back-end system. So you need to have a system such as B2B Gateway doing those data translations, taking that order from Amazon and getting it into your QuickBooks product as a sales order in the file format that your system can consume and that you can then fulfill. I touched a bit on inventory. This is probably one of the most important things within your system as an online retail, selling to an online retail space. Again, that is very important that that consumer places an order that you can fulfill. And if you're selling on multiple different e-commerce platforms, you need to constantly be updating that information to reflect what you actually have in stock. One of the really cool things that we can do with EDI is we can build in business rules to that inventory. So if you'd like to say that you have 10, if you have 10 items in stock, then you want to tell that retailer, oh, actually I have 0, because you want to make sure that you never disappoint that consumer. So business rules can be written into EDI communications. So quantity equals 10, quantity equals 0, quantity equals 100, quantity equals 50 kind of thing. That way you're never disappointing that end consumer, and they're always getting the product and therefore enjoying their experience with you, and again, hopefully ordering more product, sharing their good experience with ordering your product. 3PLs, as I touched a little bit, they are the wave of the future. You're making that the best mousetrap. You're marketing the best mousetrap. Do you really have the time to individually pick, pack, and ship that best mousetrap? Outsourcing to a third-party logistics company is the wave of the future. And if anyone would like to reach out, I'd happy to go into more detail about how we work with 3PLs. We're also working directly with the 3PLs to help them facilitate that communication with you. So I'd love to continue this discussion. We will be doing a webinar on 3PLs later this summer. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. It will go over how 3PLs fit into the e-commerce shop shipping. So a little bit about that. I mentioned that we can bring business logic for inventory. Quantity equals 10, quantity is 10, quantity equals 0. Other business logic we can do, or that EDI can facilitate, is taking an order and putting it into multiple different locations. So in that original diagram that I showed you, we take a purchase order, comes down from the e-commerce site, it goes to your 3PL as a 940 or a warehouse purchase order. But there's even more intelligence that EDI can bring to the table. We can take that purchase order that that's been created by the consumer, and we can send it in multiple different directions, but we can also add business logic to it. So if you're having your drop shipper is going to be fulfilling one portion of an order, and then you have your 3PL fulfilling another portion of the order, if there's business logic into who's fulfilling which order, we can take that original purchase order, split it, and send it into two different directions. So again, helping to facilitate speeding up that pick, pack, and shipping, giving that end consumer the better experience. You've got your drop shippers now fulfilled those 10 red widgets, and your 3PLs fulfilled the 10 yellow widgets. And those products are on their way to that consumer at an expedited price, at pace. And at the same time, that purchase order is going back into your ERP system. You know it's been picked, packed, and shipped, and you can add that to your ledger. Tracking information is, again, very important to a lot of consumers. They want to know that their item is on their way. They want to be able to track that it's in the FedEx truck, that it's now left California, that's going to a distribution center in Boston. You know, they want to know where their product is in the shipping process. And this information can be shared back to the e-commerce platform using EDI. And that tracking information can come from your 3PL. It could come from that drop shipper. It could come from your own system. So wherever the tracking information is originating from and you need to get back to that online retail space, you can use EDI. And again, giving that end consumer a better experience. I touched a little bit in the beginning about communicating with your factory or your supplier. So essentially, again, you can take that original purchase order. It comes into your system as a sales order. You know to pick, pack, and ship it, but maybe you want to automatically say, hey, I just sent some product. I need to order more product. So that purchase order comes in. It can then also be sent off to your factory in the Middle East or China, and so they can go ahead and start manufacturing that product again. So again, automation. You focus on building the best mousetrap, getting it out there, marketing it, and B2BGateway, or EDI, again, I should say, helps facilitate communicating with all of your business partners in order to streamline the process, give that end consumer a better experience, because that's really what it keeps coming back to. I touched a little bit on Amazon, as a great example of the marketplace. There are a variety of different documents that Amazon requires that you share with them. You obviously are going to receive that purchase order. That's a key, and you get that into your system, and that you now know that you sold that consumer the product. That purchase order, again, can go off to a variety of other directions. But there are also the information that you need to share back with them. This is just, I'm not going to go into all the different documents, but this is just a sampling of the documents Amazon will require. And everyone's talking about Amazon now. I mean, I'm probably not a person on this call that didn't just hear about them buying Whole Foods, and it was just a matter of time for them. They spent, I believe it was $13.4 billion to purchase Whole Foods. Where does that fit into the market space? Well, I'm sure, again, everyone might have heard or read about Amazon Go Store. Rumor is that Amazon Go Store is now going to be in the it's going to take over the Whole Foods spaces. We're all going to be walking in there with our phones, picking up our items, tossing in our bag, and walking out without having to go through the checkout line. All of those items that are going to be sold out of the Whole Foods at the Amazon Go stores, you're going to need to communicate with Amazon. You're going to need to communicate electronically. Those purchase orders are going to be going from them to an EDI provider, into your back-end system, over to your 3PL, out to your manufacturers. So we're going to streamline everything. And Amazon is just one of many. There's Alibaba, Jet.com. I mean, it's the future of shopping. I touched a little bit on online retailers. We talked to some about their various retail stores like Tiffany's that you might be placing your orders on. One of the big ones that we work with all the time now is Commerce Hub. Commerce Hub is filling this great space for those retailers that now want to go online. What they do is they take those orders that take place on their online retail stores and they place them in a location that you would connect to. Typically, right now, we're using SFTP to connect to them. We get those orders. They go into your back-end system. You send back the tracking information and the invoice. And so B2BGateway or an EDI provider connects you to Commerce Hub, and Commerce Hub connects you to that multitude of different online retailers. And as I said, I think there are about 46 of them at this point. And they're growing massively. Again, if you follow them on the stock exchange, I think their stock is up to about $17 a share now. And that's because they're taking on so many different retailers. And it's really important that you communicate with a variety of different retailers through EDI. This is going to streamline that process because you're not just getting an order from Walmart.com, now you're getting Bonton.com, you're getting Kmart. If you logged into a website every time, downloaded the order, typed it into your system, hopefully you typed it in correctly, then you pick, pack, and ship it. I mean, the process of logging in, rekeying, it's just going to give that end consumer a bad feeling because it's going to take time and errors are going to take place. So how does B2BGateway help your EDI requirements? And again, how does EDI help you, help your business grow? So B2BGateway is essentially going to be a fully integrated solution. We are going to make it so there is no rekeying. All documents are going to be flowing seamlessly in and out of your back-end system, whatever that system may be. Again, it could be something as simple as QuickBooks Online or as complex as SAP. What we do is we give you tracking within what we call your client portal. Your client portal is just a communication tool to see what's going on with your relationships with your trading partners, those online retailers, that 3PL, that contract manufacturer. So we connect to you, we give you the ability to see where those setups stand, where those documents stand. There's a lot of information that we're going to share by managing through your client portal, but really it's just sharing information. It's a communication tool. The key is going to be the automation of orders coming from those online retailers, going into your back-end system seamlessly, going off to your business partners who you'd like to share that order information with, returning the necessary return documents, that inventory feed, so again, the end consumer has a good experience with you. The client portal is where you add your trading partner relationships. Your company is going to grow. Online retail business is growing. We kind of touched on the dollar amounts in the very beginning, $3.2 trillion by 2020. If you're going to be taking part of it, you are not going to be able to rekey all this information. You need to receive those orders electronically. You're going to be on multiple marketplaces. You need to be able to quickly add those business partners, and meet their unique requirements. As I mentioned, the Commerce Hub uses SFTP as a communication method. Amazon uses AS2. Other ones might use a VAN. They might use HTTP. A growing communication method is the API. So you need a business partner who connects to all of those trading partners seamlessly. And what the client portal does is gives you the ability to log in from those and see the thousands of trading partner relationships that B2BGateway already has established. Select that trading partner and very quickly be able to meet your unique requirements with them and your back-end system. You can see where you stand in the setup process in your client portal. You can see all the documents you've processed over the life of your relationship with B2BGateway. So if you'd like to go back and say, how many purchase orders did I receive from Amazon last year? You can just do a search. So all those documents that B2BGateway processed for you, they're all going to be available in your client portal. There's also some custom reporting done. One of the other key things that you can do in your client portal is cross-referencing. So if your product is listed on Amazon as ABC, but on Walmart.com it's 123, but you call it a blue widget in your ERP system, you don't want to have to try to figure out which is which. EDI, business intelligence, cross-referencing takes care of all of that. So again, you're going to work within your business, your ERP system. You're going to sell that best product. You're going to market that best product, and everything is going to flow seamlessly without having to worry about it. And this cross-referencing will be maintained on your client portal. And I wouldn't be a good salesperson without mentioning a little bit about customer service. You are relying on us as your business partner to help you grow your business. It is key that those documents never get interrupted, that they're always flowing seamlessly back and forth between you and those e-retailers or your other business partners. So what we have done is we have a multitude of different customer service levels that are always included in your service with B2B Gateway. We have 24/7, 362 days a year emergency voicemail support. So if you have a true business emergency on Saturday night, that business emergency will be resolved. Now, a business emergency would have to be something like your advanced shipping notifications have failed because the AS2 connection is down with that business partner. So it would have to be a true business emergency. We also have the rapid response team. The rapid response team is there. Should you have an issue, they will resolve it in a timely manner. They will take your information, they'll summarize it, and they will keep you up to date as to exactly where the resolution for that concern stands. They also assign a dedicated team during the setup process. Now, this is really important because your business requirements are going to be different than somebody else's. Your items are going to be different. Although we have thousands and thousands of trading partner relationships, your relationship might be slightly different with that online retailer than somebody else. When I touched on the Amazon a moment ago, you saw that there are a variety of different documents that are going to be required. Not all of those documents apply to all relationships with Amazon. Amazon Vendor Central requires very different documents than Amazon Seller Central. So we need to work closely with Amazon to meet your requirements, and then we also need to work closely with your back-end system because you might have customized your system slightly. If you're using something like NetSuite, you might have custom fields that you need populated. You might want to have items come in using that cross-referencing table. So it's really important that you have a dedicated team that's there to help you during the setup process to make sure that your unique requirements are all being met. The key, and I'm sure that I've touched on this already, the key reasons for EDI, greater accuracy. You don't have somebody rekeying that information who has the potential of adding a zero. So instead of the end consumer ordering 10 of an item, they get 100 of an item, or vice versa. So greater accuracy is extraordinarily important. I touched on the importance of speed. The consumer wants that product on their doorstep tomorrow. You can't have somebody rekeying that information. You can't be waiting for that fax, that email. You can't summarize, get that order in, and then turn around and rekey it into another system for your third-party logistics company or your drop shipper. It's very important that speed take place, especially when you're talking about e-commerce. There's also the integration. You want to have that going into your system the way that you want to see it. And I touched on, there's a variety of ERP and accounting packages, hundreds out there, all of them with different types of integration requiring different information, different file layouts. It's very important that your unique back-end system is able to receive those documents, and that is done using EDI. B2B Gateway is essentially just an online data conversion engine. We're taking information from one location, reformatting it, and moving it somewhere else. It is absolutely imperative that that information appears correctly based on what you're using as your back-end system. And I always like to finish up with environmentally friendly. We are a paper-free, paperless company, and it is important for our community, our country, and as well as our world that we stop wasting paper, printing out faxes, email. Who knows what will happen if you sending an invoice through the mail nowadays. I can't even remember the last time I got a paper invoice. So it really is nice to be environmentally friendly with EDI as well. Now, I've seen a lot of questions have come in, and it looks like several of them are very specific to the various e-commerce platforms. So what I'd like to do is ask that if you have a specific question regarding an e-commerce platform, that you email sales@B2BGateway so we can discuss your unique requirements. Because again, one of the questions was with regards to Amazon. If we don't specify which Amazon and what your relationship is, it's very different. Seller Central is when you're getting that order and you're shipping it to a consumer versus Vendor Central where you're shipping it to Amazon's ordering the product and you're shipping to one of their DCs. So it's important that we get that we go over what your unique requirements are going to be with that e-commerce platform. Okay, can you only work with certain third-party logistics companies? Absolutely not. We can work with any third-party logistics company regardless of their capabilities. We can work with a simple flat file. We can go all the way up to the complexities of the ANSI X12 standard. B2BGateway or any other third-party EDI provider is going to work closely with that 3PL to make sure we meet all of your unique business requirements, because 3PL relationships are very unique. When you establish that relationship with them, you determine what it is you're going to share with them, how you're going to share that information, what their responses are going to be. That's all part of the services that they provide, and it's very important that the third-party EDI provider you select can meet all of those requirements. So we are not limited in any way. We happen to have strategic partnerships with a lot of 3PLs because we've had such a great relationship with them. They actively go out and recommend that you use B2BGateway, but we can work with any third-party logistics company. Can you work in Europe? Oh, absolutely. We support all standards, be it ANSI X12, as I mentioned here in the U.S. is the most common. But if you start looking at Amazon, Amazon has unique locations around the globe. Each of those Amazon locations can have different communication methods, as well as different file formats. So in the EU, you're going to see a lot of EDIFACT. And I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but Amazon's about to launch in Australia. When Amazon launches in Australia, most likely, again, that will be EDIFACT, which is just a different standard file format. B2BGateway can also work all the way down to a flat file. So as long as it's a consistent file format, meaning that all data elements are always located in the same position, B2BGateway can work with it. Are those the only, shopping carts you work with? No, we are not limited. We happen to have partnered with a variety of shopping carts, meaning that we've reached out to them. We have customers that are using them, so we've had experience. That was just actually a small sampling of the shopping carts that we've worked with to date, but we are always open to working with other shopping carts. We are also always open to partnering with shopping carts so that we can work to provide the shopping carts customers with EDI solutions to automate all processes. Okay. Do you have, and I'm going to try to pair, do you have support in China? So we have an office located in Australia, which supports the APAC region. So yes, we also have a small development office in China. So we absolutely support China as well as the U.S. Rakuten actually uses a service of ours, and they are owned by a Chinese company. So I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes. As I said, there are some questions specific to various e-commerce platforms, which I would like to address separately so I get a better understanding of exactly what it is you're looking for. And you can email sales@b2bgateway.net. I want to thank everyone for joining this afternoon. And if you have any questions, again, there are all of our contact details. You can always call here in the U.S., 401-491-9595, extension 5, and one of our knowledgeable sales staff would be happy to assist you. We also have an office in Shannon, Ireland. You can call 353-6170-8533. That supports all of Europe. And then we have the office in Sydney, Australia for the Pan-Pacific region, 612-8003-7584. Thank you all for joining. I really appreciate your time, and have a wonderful day.